Hello and welcome to Wednesday's ESPN FC Live. I'm Mark Donaldson alongside Mark Ogden and Janusz Michallik. It's a Man United special today. We'll keep you updated with the latest on Ruben Amorim, the reported target for Manchester United. When might it be done? What could happen when it happens? And what happens to the players already at Old Trafford going forward under a new boss now that Erik Ten Hag is gone. Before we get to Mark and Janusz, let's hear from the man himself, who after the game last night against Nacional in the Taça da Liga, the Portuguese League Cup, met the media, including Gary Cotterill from Sky Sports in London.
I've heard the words Manchester United mentioned quite a few times this press conference. Could you sum up where we are with the Manchester United move?
We have to wait a little bit more to explain everything I need to explain, and then it will be very clear.
But the club, obviously, they have to, if an approach is made for their head coach, because of the rules, have said that approach has been made and the compensation fee has been agreed. So it's now your decision, I guess.
Yes, that's what I said. It's my decision. I will tell everything. So we have to wait. That's it.
How long?
I don't know.
Will you be in the dugout at Old Trafford on Sunday?
I will be here.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Thank you. We'll proceed.
The press officer's like, no more, no more. Okay, Mark Ogden. They play Estrela on Friday night in the Portuguese League, the Primeira Liga. There was no waving goodbye last night in their League Cup tie against Nacional. The suggestion from Portuguese media is that will be his final game in charge. Then the move will be completed, and he may even be at Old Trafford, but as a watcher on Sunday. What do you understand will happen going forward?
Well, they are all possibles, but what I do understand is that United are still in talks with Sporting, and they are not surprised by any of the so-called hitches that have been reported in the last 24 hours. The fact that Sporting want a bit more for his staff, that he may have to serve a notice period. United may have to pay a little bit more to get him out of that notice period. Now, Ruben Amorim wants to go to Man United. Man United want him. And Sporting, according to the Portuguese media, have already lined up a replacement as a member of the coaching staff. So it doesn't really suit anybody for this to drag on. Ruben Amorim, I'm pretty sure, will be on an incentivized contract this season to get United as high as possible. It may be that he's on a bonus to get into the Champions League or the top six. So every game matters. Every point counts. So he will want to start as quickly as possible. United need him in as quickly as possible. They don't really want to have a situation where an interim situation with Ruud van Nistelrooy drags on. If that happens, so be it. Maybe Ruben Amorim has to stay until Friday and coach against Estrela, but I don't see how that suits anybody. I don't see how it suits Sporting or him, because it just adds uncertainty. So I think that I know that United are pushing to get the deal done. I'd be very surprised if it didn't happen by Friday afternoon. I think United want to get it done, but these things do take time. But what I've been told from United is that there are no dramas there, and it's a case of being patient. It's a case of getting the deal done, negotiated, but I think it'll be done by the end of the week, and I'd be surprised if he's in charge of Sporting on Friday night. It doesn't really suit anybody, that.
Janusz, you can understand why Sporting are doing what they're doing, because it was the coach that had the 10 million euros release clause. They're like, well, hey, you want them, you pay that. However, you want the rest of them, we can charge whatever we want. It's like I remember going on many European trips, and the day of the game, the locals would say, oh, it's an extra X, Y, or Z to get it plugged in or to get it connected to make sure you're on air. That's just what happens in life, Janusz. And it's just a case of you're going to have to pay up, and they want it settled as quickly as possible, as long as it's not too expensive and they're not held to ransom.
Sure. I think the idea is to get it right, not get it as quickly as possible. I mean, there's talk about him possibly being there at Manchester United over the weekend. I mean, as far as I know, he's no Harry Potter. He's not going to come in and all of a sudden change everything in Manchester United, in that one game. I think, to me, they got to get it right. They got to make sure that he comes in comfortable with the people that he wants to bring into Manchester United. We have an international break coming in. As long as he's there for some time during that international break, where he can take a look at the place, I'm okay with that. But the fact if he's there this weekend, it doesn't matter to me, because he's not going to change anything by his presence alone.
What do you make of the selection by Manchester United, Janusz, of Ruben Amorim?
Well, I liked it. I've been pushing for it for a while out there. I think, he was at Liverpool. He's a young manager. The world belongs to the young. I mean, just take a look at the managers around who are successful right now. If it's the Nagelsmanns of the world or Marescas or people that can relate to the players. Manchester United are they are where they are for a reason, right? And I don't want to get into the weeds of who's still playing and who's still being called upon, because it's just a poor team. It's a randomly put team together to plug in holes over the course of last decade with all the managers that I'm sure we're going to talk about pretty soon. So you want somebody that's transparent, somebody that has a laugh. We just saw him there, right? If I saw Erik Ten Hag one more time in his press conference, you'd know. I've been a player, and imagine coming into the place like this every day, which I can't imagine. I haven't been there, of course. Mark may tell me otherwise, but I can't imagine that it was the greatest thing showing up at 8 a.m. in the morning and listening to that. So, look, players will relate to him. I think he's going to be comfortable, but let's make sure that we understand that this is going to take a while.
On Monday, Oggy, there was a special ESPN FC Live with you and Rob and James, hosted by Alexis Nunez. It was about 45 minutes long. I thought it was really good content, but you were pretty critical, understandably so, of the Manchester United board and allowing Erik Ten Hag to build this squad, which clearly isn't good enough. So should they have a little bit of praise directed their way for doing this now because it had to happen, but having already identified someone when they got rid of Ten Hag, and that man is Ruben Amorim? Because you see some of these signings, that's a lot of money spent on a lot of average players.
So do they deserve a bit of praise? Well, they deserve praise to get it over the line, and they don't. I take Janusz's point, but I think they need to move fairly quickly, otherwise it'll drag into a saga. So if they get it done this week, great. They've identified a guy, and it's made up for the mistakes they have made. Because really, they should have fired Ten Hag in the summer. I know they won the FA Cup, but it was clearly obvious that the squad wasn't working. It wasn't a fluke, that win, but it was a rarity. It was like seeing a shooting star. You blinked and you missed it. And I think, since this season started, they've got worse. I was told on Monday that they were aiming to get 70 points this season at least to get into the top four. Now, last season they finished with 60 points, and that was 1.6 points per game. At the moment, they're trending at 1.2 points per game. They're not even on the course to beat last season's total, which was the worst they've ever done in the Premier League. So, Ten Hag had to go. And the fact that they waited so long to do it is a bad reflection on INEOS. What I've been told since Monday is that the Tottenham game in September, when United lost 3-0 at home, that was the day when the people at the club, the new regime, I guess, realised that they had to start making contingency plans. They had to start drawing up a short list of candidates who could come in. It wasn't the day they decided to sack Ten Hag, but it was the day that they realised they had to do some work. Now, Ten Hag could have saved himself. They could have won 5 the next game, but he didn't. I don't think they won any of them. They won 1, I think, they beat Brentford. So Ten Hag had the chance to survive, didn't take it. And in the last month, United have made sure they've got all their ducks in a row. And that main duck is Ruben Amorim. So well done to Man United. They've identified a top coach. As Janusz said, you don't have to be really astute to realise that this guy is the rising star of coaching. He's one of the best out there. He's 39. He's got all the swagger and the confidence of a young Jose Mourinho, maybe without the hostility and the bad stuff. But he's got charisma. He's got a swagger, and United fans will like that. That squad needs somebody to come in and bring them to life. As Janusz said, that Erik Ten Hag was the wrong character for that squad. It was a dismal place, and people were so miserable at Man United because of results, but because they were working for a guy that resembled a maths teacher. No fun whatsoever. So, yes, INEOS have done well to identify Amorim. Well done, but they failed in their primary objective of finding a new manager in the summer. Just one last thing before we move on. They were very far down the line with Thomas Tuchel in the summer, which kind of explains the 2-week delay to keep Erik Ten Hag in a job. But Tuchel, at some stage, at quite a late stage in those negotiations, decided he wasn't ready to come back. He was telling United that he would wait till the autumn. That's what's happened. He's got the England job. So, Tuchel would have been a good appointment, but I think Amorim, long-term, could be even better.
Before we got on to Amorim and his 3 at the back, I want to go in depth with that with Janusz. Oggy, you wrote a piece a few months ago when Amorim was linked with Liverpool. Now, that didn't happen. Explain why that didn't happen and why it's happening now, but didn't happen with Liverpool.
Well, there was a couple of reasons why it didn't happen with Liverpool. Now, he was obviously very high on the list. Xabi Alonso was the top target, but he pretty quickly ruled himself out because he wanted to stay at Leverkusen, and then became Amorim or Arne Slot. Now, Amorim, despite the fact that he had the situation with 3-4-3, and it's a complicated system if you haven't got the right players, although it was an issue with Liverpool, it wasn't an insurmountable issue that they would have had to address in terms of having the players capable of playing that. What I was told is that the real issue with Liverpool and Amorim was that basically got wind that he was using Liverpool's interest to try and hike up his salary offer and trying to put a bit of pressure on Liverpool. So he flew to see West Ham. And from Liverpool's point of view, it was like, well, I'm sorry, but you're not using West Ham to put pressure on Liverpool Football Club. And it was at that point he thought, well, 3-4-3, the guy wants a bit more money, let's go with Arne Slot. So in many ways, I think Ruben Amorim did himself out of the job at Liverpool because he probably tried a bit too hard to exploit his position. I think he may have learned from that, but they may have ended up with Arne Slot in the end anyway, and he's done a fantastic job. You can't say they've made a mistake there, but definitely Ruben Amorim was high on their list, and Barcelona's too. But I think Barcelona were reluctant to pay the release clause and also the three at the back.
Okay, three at the back, Janusz. There are many ways you could go with this. This is one of the graphics that we've decided this is a possible 11. The reason we've kind of gone with Garnacho as a wide player, Amorim is someone who his 2 6s, he kind of they're the conductors of the orchestra. He does allow freedom for whether they're wing backs, they're wide midfielders to get forward. And in the past, he's played 2 forwards as his 2 wide players. So we've kind of gone with 1 fullback or 1 wing back and 1 kind of forward wide player on the other side. Is this a case of just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic until the transfer window reopens, or can he get a brand new tune out of an old fiddle?
Well, I mean, if you follow Amorim, you'd know that defensive stability is the most important thing for him, and that's exactly what he needs to do. The fundamentals. I don't think he's going to skip anything in order to get results. I think he's going to be given the benefit of the doubt. If I look at this, is it workable? Possibly. I think defensively, as we know, it has been an issue. Mazraoui has so far played probably 2 or 3 different positions, even so I'm at number 10. So it looks okay. I'm not so sure that Garnacho is the, you want to sacrifice what he does going forward and play him as a wing back, although he will do it gladly because he's a hardworking player. Dalot, I was just in Warsaw for the Poland against Portugal game. They play 4 in the back, but Dalot was one of those coming inside and at times looked like a right forward. So I think it's all possible, but I just think that this is going to be temporary. I think he's going to recognize the fact that he's going to have to introduce some players. The big story here, and Mark may have to say that, I mean, I don't go that deep into the academy of Manchester United, but I think we all know what he has done at Sporting Lisbon, who's always been known for having a great academy. When he came in, it was a disaster there. He rebuilt that and introduced a lot of young players. Now, that's Portugal. That's much different than playing in the Premier League. It's a little bit easier to do that and still get the results, given the strength of both leagues. But I think at Manchester United, that's an issue. And I think that's something that's close to his heart. As we all know, he plays a massive role in what's happening at the club at the lowest level in terms of trainings and coaches, and keeps an eye on that. You look at under 21s for England. I don't see a Manchester United player there. I know Kobe Mainoo would probably, but he's obviously with the first team. I look at U18s, couple players. Harry Amos, I saw him here, and Mark, you were here on the tour. He looks the part on that left-hand side. I know there's Jack Fletcher, and then I'm not sure there's anything else, to be quite honest. And this is Manchester United, who's also, like Sporting, have been known for years. So I think there's a bigger job than just coming in and saying, okay, we play 3 or 4. I'm sure he will play 3, but I'm also sure that we will see a little bit of that pragmatism that we accuse Erik Ten Hag of, that we wanted to see Manchester United on the front foot a little bit more. But I think Amorim is going to address that, and that's the sort of Manchester United we're going to see at first.